to today's lecture, which is International Labour Organization and International Labour Standards, under Unit 3 of International Human Resource Management. When we talk about ILOs or International Labour Organizations, it has got a history that why ILO was formed. It was formed immediately after the World War I. World War I ended somewhere in 1918, and constitution of ILO was roundly in 19. It was drafted in rather 1919. And you will be surprised to know that India has been member of ILO since its inception, that is in 1990. Despite the fact that India gained its independence in 1947. So see the foresightedness of our, say, philanthropists or our, leaders who saw this, who visualized this association long back in 1919. So it was the force, the driving force of ILO, why it was created. It was created on the basis of, political and economic consideration. Because after World War I, there was huge economic loss. And during this World War, because of huge exploitation of the labor, founders of ILO, they recognized importance of social justice in securing peace against the exploitation of workers. So there was economic independence. So world was now recognizing that economic interdependence and need for cooperation to obtain similarity of working conditions in countries, across the countries in the market. So ILO is a United Nations agency that strives to serve as a uniting force between governments, businesses, and workers to promote decent work throughout the world. Now it is not confined to any one particular country. Whosoever is member, right now there are around about 185 countries which are members to ILO. That means ILO is the controlling body for maintaining and promoting decent work throughout all these 185 countries. So ILO deals with international labor problems. The unique feature of ILO is that it is the only tripartite body consisting of representation of employers, labor, and government. So it has got 4 strategic objectives: to promote and realize standards and fundamental principles and rights at work. Objective is to have a standard and fundamental principles which should be respected and which should be adhered to by every member of ILO. Then its objective is to create greater response opportunities for women and men to decent employment and income, because it was, it was framed in 1919 when there was a huge gap between women and men working in an organization or in the production houses. So its objective became that they have to be given equal opportunities or greater opportunities for women and men to decent employment and income. Then enhance the coverage and effectiveness of social protection for all. Social protection, that means it is not, ILO objective was not, it was not restricted only to the salary or the income, but social protection. And social protection was in form of lot many acts, conventions, which helped, which you can say rather forced countries to implement those acts and conventions. Then its objective is to strengthen tripartism and social dialogue. That means ILO, they want to strengthen tripartism. That means in every country, they want to strengthen this bond between employer, employees, and government through a social dialogue. That means through negotiation, through bargaining, through a peaceful environment, rather than going for strike or something which is not in favor of neither employees nor employers or government for that matter. Now there are certain principles of ILO. Talking about principles of ILO, it was according to the head offices of ILO is in Geneva. So it has a Geneva Convention, and much before that Geneva Convention, there was a Declaration of Philadelphia. That means there were members who framed in principles in Philadelphia. So what were these principles? First, labor is not a commodity. That means organizations should not treat labor as a commodity. Labor is a living being. He requires that dignity, he requires that decent income, he requires that decent respect. He is not a commodity to be exploited. Then freedom of expression and of association, which are which are essential for sustained progress. Freedom of expression. Kiska expression? Of employees. How they are going to express? Through trade unions, through associations. So ILO framed out this principle that workers can associate, can form trade unions so as to have that freedom of expression. Then poverty anywhere constitutes a danger to prosperity everywhere. Because as I said that this ILO was formed immediately after World War I. So there was poverty everywhere. So that poverty was the concern. Because if you are not able to deal with poverty, you are not going to prosper. Countries have to deal poverty so as to enjoy prosperity. So that poverty has to be it has to be focused upon through production, through offering decent working environment and decent jobs to males and females, which will help in declining the poverty rate of a country. Because when employment is generated, and it is not only the generation of employment, but offering a decent income as well, then the war against want requires to be carried on underlining vigor with each nation. And by continuous and concerted international effort in which representatives of workers and employers enjoying equal status with those of governments join with them in free discussion and democratic discussion with a view to promotion the common welfare. The fourth principle was that ILO would be fighting against those countries where workers, employers, they are not being given equal status. So ILO's principle was, ILO was in favor of giving equal status to employers and workers as well as the government, so that there is an environment of free discussion, there is an environment of comfort which gives a platform, which provides a platform for the free discussion between employer, employee, and government. Then we have certain objectives of ILO. Why ILO was formed? Because of all these objectives. First is full employment and raising standards of living, because it wanted to raise the standards of living by offering decent income, by providing greater opportunities to both males and females. Then the employment of workers in an occupation in which they have the satisfaction of giving the fullest measure of their skills and attainments and make their greatest contribution to the common well-being. That means you need to appreciate, you need to recognize skills as per the requirement of your organization, and you must offer them what is complementing with their skill. Then the provisions as a means of attainment to this end and other adequate guarantees for all concerned of facilities for training and transfer of labor, including migration and employment and settlement. Now, this migration is not from one small place to other, but we are talking migration of international borders, labor who is migrating from one economic conditions because of political unrest in the country. So, objective of ILO is to guarantee, to have an adequate guarantee for all those migration employees. Then policies in regard to wage and earnings, hours and other conditions of work calculated to ensure a just share of fruit of progress and minimum wage to all employed and in need of such protection. Now, this is where it started, objective of ILO started reflecting protection of employees and avoidance of exploitation. Because this minimum living wage was given as a convention to the, say, countries who are the member countries. You know, we have two words. We have convention, we have ratification. Please listen carefully. Convention is when what is convention? ILO has framed out a certain agreement. It has laid down certain principles. So these are conventions. Conventions which are being formed by ILO. Simply agreements. Now it is up to the member countries whether they want to implement that convention in their country or not. If I am implementing that convention in my country, that means it is ratification of the agreement. It is ratifying the agreement or ratifying the convention. So ratification is when I have agreed and is being implemented, and I have agreed to implement the convention in my country. I have agreed to adhere to the convention or to the agreement that has been framed out by ILO. So ratifying conventions, they do not give any chance to the countries who are member countries. They have to adhere to the conventions. The effective recognition of right of collective bargaining, cooperation of management and labor in continuous improvement of productive efficiency, and the collaboration of workers and employers in preparation and application of social economic measures. That means objective of ILO is to recognize collective bargaining, cooperation of management and labor in continuous improvement of productive efficiency. That means ILO always supports collective bargaining, which is between employer and employees, or it could be employer and government, and cooperation of management towards employees and government as well. Why? What for? To have an efficiency in production. Because efficiency in production will lead to overall income stabilization and growth of a country, which will help in, automatically raising standard of living of that particular country. The next is extension of social security measures to provide a basic income to all in need of such protection and comprehensive medical care. That means ILO also had this convention that in addition to what you are providing as a minimum wage to the employees, you need to provide social security measures as well, maybe in terms of retirement benefits, in terms of medical insurances, health benefits to your employees, education to the children of employees. So adequate protection for the life and health of workers in all occupations. That means whatever is being governed in the Factories Act is being controlled by ILO. Provision for child welfare and maternity protection. Provision of adequate nutrition, housing facilities for recreation and culture. Assurance of equality of educational and vocational opportunity. That means through training, training at plant level, training at national level, you are giving exposure, you are giving equal opportunity to the say citizen of a country for education and vocational opportunity. So that equality has to be assured, and that is one of the objectives of ILO. Then functions of ILO. What are the functions? What does it do? First, the development and promotion of standards for national legislation to protect and improve working conditions and standards of living. That means it continuously works for improving working conditions and standards of living of workers throughout the world. ILO also provides technical assistance in social policy and administration in workforce training. Workforce training, particularly in production houses. It fosters cooperative organizations and rural industries. Compiles labor statistics and conducts research on the social problems of international competition, unemployment and underemployment, labor and industrial relations, and technological changes. There are huge statistics that is being that is being worked upon by ILO, and there is a huge database with ILO. Even if you go and just surf through the website of ILO, there is one particular icon, that is one particular window is purely dedicated to the statistics. So you will find all the statistics may be related to, say, acts, may be related to women percentage working in an this throughout the world, may it be malnutrition, may it be child prohibition, child education, everything is, all those statistics are being maintained by ILO. And it helps to protect the right of international migrants and organized labor. Now, question arises, how maintaining data is going to help. Once you have the data, then organizations, then these countries, they are being forced, they are being pressurized by ILO to form policies accordingly, so as to protect your worker in the country. So these are some of the functions of ILO. Now these are conventions. So far there are 8 conventions and 4 priority conventions. Now ILO, it has identified 8 fundamental conventions. Fundamental conventions means freedom of association and protection of right to organize convention. This is one of the convention. Now these are the references that 1948, it has been framed out in 1948 under point number 87, agreement. Right to organize and collective bargaining convention. Forced labor convention, that means protocols against forced labor. Abolition of forced labor convention. Minimum age convention. Worst forms of child labor convention. Equal remuneration convention. Discrimination convention. So all these are the conventions that have been, these are the fundamental conventions. Now ILO, it has also got designated another 4 conventions for the matter of it was in 2019. As of now, there are 1,376 ratifications of these conventions. That means these conventions have been agreed upon, right? Representing 92% of possible number of ratifications. Now these are fundamental conventions, then there are sub-conventions. So altogether, so far, that means 1,376 conventions have been agreed upon, which have been as a ratifying conventions. And further, 121 ratifications are still required to meet the objective of universal ratification. That means 121 ratifications are those ratifications which might not have been agreed upon by every member of the ILO. So ILO governing body, it has also designated another 4 conventions or instruments, thereby encouraging number of states to ratify them because of their importance for the function of international labor standards. So first is Labor Inspection Convention, Employment Policy Convention, Labor Inspection or Agriculture Convention, then Tripartite Consultation, International Labor Standards Convention. So all these conventions, they are the priority conventions. These are the fundamental conventions. That means these have been ratified by most of the countries, including their sub-conventions also. And these are the priority conventions which ILO wants that countries, members of ILO, they should ratify them on the priority basis. Then we have applying and promoting international labor standards. Now, how ILO helps in promoting international labor standards? It has developed various means of supervising the application of conventions and recommendations in the law and practice their adoption by the International Labour Conference and their ratification by states or members. So now there are 2 kind of mechanisms to supervise. So first is the regular system of supervision and second is special procedure. Regular system of supervision, it examines the periodic reports which are submitted by the members of ILO on the measures that have been taken to implement the provisions of ratified convention. Now you might agree upon a particular convention, but now it is up to ILO to see, to supervise whether that has been actually implemented in the country or not. So the regular system of supervision is based on the examination by 2 ILO bodies of reports on the application in law and practice, which is being sent by the member country or state, and on observations. In this regard is sent by workers' organization, that means trade unions which are operating in that particular country, because sometimes it might happen that country might furnish wrong report about the ratification, that is they are implementing. So it is being cross-verified by workers' organization. That means trade report is being asked for from trade union which is operating in that particular country. So the committee of experts on the application of conventions and recommendations are there, and the International Labour Conference also, wherein all the trade unions throughout the world, they attend these conferences and they have this discussion. So this is how ILO regularly supervises whether the international standards are being met or not. Then second is special procedure. Under special procedure, a representation procedure and a complaints procedure of general application. Now, for example, now somehow ILO has received a complaint that a particular country is not implementing an agreed upon convention. So it needs to go for a special procedure to observe it. So unlike the regular system of supervision, for special procedure, there are 3 procedures. First, procedure for representation on the application of ratified convention, that application which was a ratified convention. Second is the procedure for complaints over the application. That first is that if it was agreed upon by the country, then where is the loophole? Second, complaint. Whosoever has made a complaint in ILO, that application has to be, it has to be treated, it has to be redressed. Then special procedure for complaints regarding freedom of association through the freedom of association committees. So these are the special procedures through which ILO observes whether the international labor standards are being met or not. Now, what is relevance of international labor standards? Basically, international labor standards, they are addressed to the government, because it is the government who has to see whether we are implementing what we have agreed upon with ILO, the convention. So business is affected by ILS, that means international labor standards, through national legislation, because ultimately laws and policies are framed at the national level of a country. So when a country ratifies a convention, this is instrument, it sets the framework for national law and practice on a certain subject. So if existing national law or practice does not comply with the convention, then new labor laws, amendments of existing laws, or new implementation directives may result. So as a consequence, business may require to change its labor practices, which can involve significant administrative measures and cost. So if we do not have international labor standards, so every now and then there might be frequent changes in the labor standards of a particular country, which will directly affect the business, because then they will have to change their labor practices. So even if labor standards are not taken up by the national law, the contents of collective agreement may be inspired by them. Maybe they have not ratified the convention, they have not taken up by the national law. Then they have whatever has been a collective agreement between country and the ILO, or between all members of ILO, it has to be agreed upon. Then international labor standards, they can be relevant source of practical guidance for business in areas which are not covered by national laws. So they frame the basis that how you should govern your national law pertaining to businesses or industries. So many companies operating internationally, they have considered this international labor standards or ILO declaration in developing their codes of conduct or other responsible business code initiatives. That means companies directly, MNCs directly, they take basis from ILOs. So global initiatives for maybe voluntary business engagement, for example, UN Global Compact, it draws on these sources in their labor principles and global compact business stakeholders. So framework agreements, which is IFA, it is also known as International Framework Agreements, IFAs, they are negotiated between Global Union Federation and multinational enterprises. One is the trade union, which is operating at your state level. Second is at the national level. Third is at global level union federation. So international framework agreements, they are the agreements between global union and MNCs, because MNCs are governed by the global unions, so as to make specific references to the ILO fundamental and conventions. So this was all about our ILS for today lecture. Now we'll be taking up global unions in our next lecture.